we appreciate you guys taking time and getting with us, especially being here and letting us kind of come to you and get some good memories. I mean, geez, oh man, it's like when I walked through the door, I don't think I've been here when I left in 10, 15 years ago. It's
We spend a lot of time in this room.
I bet.
yeah, definitely. So appreciate that. Definitely some nostalgia, and you guys have made some updates, which look good. But I guess our goal here is to kind of get some of the people that have, shown some interest and followed what have been doing, and making that connection with some of the old and some of the new. So I think that's kind of important. I guess basically. Seth, I've never really met you before, so this is kind of a good opportunity for me. From Crestview, maybe tell us a little about your background and how you came to Chaney.
Yeah, graduated Crestview in 2002. Played for Coach Cusick down there that just resigned a little while ago, a couple weeks ago. Went to YSU, graduated there in 2008, and moved to North Carolina for 7 years. Was down there coaching at Jacksonville High School. Pretty similar situation to here at Chaney. So was fortunate to work under Bo and Chip Williams down there, Chip Williams, while he was our offensive coordinator, was in the Hall of Fame down there. Took multiple 4A schools down there to the state championship. Learned a lot of offense and football and life from him and his son Bo, that was our head coach. Came back up here in 2015. Took a job at Volney and was quality control coach at YSU 2 years for Coach Pelini. From there, went to Crestview for 1 year, thinking they were going to have a phys ed spot for me. Didn't work out, so Chaney started back up, and I was up here, at Volney, and jumped on board with bringing Chaney back.
Yeah, were you on the? Was that the national title run? Down
Yeah.
at LSU?
Yep. Got to go to Frisco and lost to James Madison, but it was a great experience for sure.
Yeah. Casey, you've been around for a while. Like, I remember when I was coaching, you were still. You've been Poland, Struthers.
Yeah,
Rayan, maybe.
Yeah, Rayan's where I started.
Yeah.
21 years ago now.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we used to coach JV football against each other, you and I.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yep.
At that time, so you were at Rayan then.
Mm-hmm.
Who was the head coach? Or Shaner?
Pete Limber.
Oh yeah.
When I started, it was Pete Limber, and then a couple years in, Brian Shaner took over. A couple years with him, I spent coaching football, and then I went over to Volney after that and coached middle school because I had some children and wanted to, be a little bit more involved in their lives year round. So went over to Volney for about 5 years, coached football there. Then I went, Poland, met Kurt Kuntz at Poland, and then when he got the job at Struthers, I followed him there.
And then, so how long have you been out?
Out of coaching?
Now?
Oh Lord. He's a lot better with dates than I am. I can't remember the dates of anything. I think the last time I coached was at Struthers football. It was 2013, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's the last. When and then Kurt, I left and he stayed on, and then obviously went to the Miami Dolphins and
worked out for him.
Worked out for him pretty good. Yeah. He's a great coach though, so he deserved it.
Yeah. And then how long have you been? You said you've been at Chaney.
I've been at Chaney. When we were a STEM VPA school and they got rid of athletics here, I was here then for a year. Then I got involuntarily transferred back to Volney for a year. Then I came back here for that last year of STEM VPA and have been here since. I think in total, I want to say 10 years now. 10 years I've been here, I think.
Wow.
Through that transition. And then, we brought sports back 5 years ago. So when we had the opportunity to do that, I was pretty excited. I said, I wanted the chance to do what I'm doing now if we're looking for something to bring sports back, and I've been lucky enough to be able to do it.
So have you been the AD since?
Yes. Well, the title's changed. It was the faculty manager position before, and then, now the last 2 years, it's just athletic director administrative, which is great because I have enough to fill my day.
The AD is the toughest and can be the worst job in the district. There's no doubt.
Sometimes
Sometimes it's great.
You're right. Sometimes when you're winning,
Yeah.
It's glorious. When you're losing, not so much, because it's the same amount of work goes into it, whether you're winning or losing. You know, I'm pretty lucky because I think now we've kind of built a staff with all the sports that we have good people coaching, and the good people make good coaches, in my opinion. And you know, I figure if I'm the one that has to work with them all the time, why not hire good people?
Yeah.
You know, we're lucky to get him back. I think what a lot of people don't understand is football. You know, I didn't expect to have 10 wins 5 years into this. I mean, that's building a football program is tough. And when I tell you we were shut down, there was no sports here. You know, our kids were going over to East to participate in football. So bringing sports back, the first year we started it, you know, we were just a freshman JV team, and he was a part of that staff. Right. So he's been with us. You know, he was with us for a few years, and then the opportunity to leave and take a head job at Boardman came up. You know, he went there, and then now we're lucky enough to have him back. So it's been, this year was exciting. 10 wins is exciting. You know, I'm a football guy. So, you know, we've done a few, you know, we started wrestling here, which is exciting too.
Yeah, wrestling, I think I've seen rugby.
Rugby here, wrestling. We had our first home wrestling match a couple weeks ago. That was pretty cool. Our kids, they've kind of taken to it. You know, we had a lot of interest. We brought bowling back this year. We didn't start it, but we brought it back. So, you know, we want to offer the same things that a lot of the local schools offer. That's all.
How many sports do you have?
14 total.
14. Wow. That's like being a head coach year-round for you.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. We're starting esports as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Competitive gaming.
You get scholarships now for that.
You
right?
do. You do.
Yeah.
What do you use as a wrestling room?
The
Little dance
the room attached to the locker room there, you go up the ramp, we laid permanent mats down in there, so that's our
Was the
practice
dancing
room. Yes.
Was
the
the-
weight
was the
room.
weight room,
Then the
yeah.
dance room, now the wrestling room.
Yeah, it was the way.
We were lucky enough, Liberty donated some mats to us, and we were wrestling out of the YMCA for a while.
really?
And then we just decided, you know, when Youngstown Early College moved out of our building, we got a lot more space, so we put them down. And yeah, our kids get after it. Our coaches do a fantastic job. It's pretty cool.
I think we had either we came to you, or you came to us, or we had.
Yeah,
okay.
JV like a little match. Yeah,
yeah.
we've been. I mean, it's tough to make a schedule because you never know how many kids you're going to have every year. This is year 3 of wrestling for us. The first year we've hosted, which was really exciting. You know, in my mind, you go football, then you go to wrestling, then you go to rugby. All that makes you better at each one of the individual sports. You know, so we've kind of built that pipeline, and we still offer the traditional stuff. We have baseball, track, volleyball, softball, all those things too. But the goal is to try to offer something that doesn't compete with another sport for kids. You know, a lot of the kids that are bowling, which is a winter sport, aren't going to play basketball. Mm-hmm. You know, wrestling and basketball, those kids aren't crossing over into sports. So that's kind of the goal, to offer as many things as we can to get as many kids as we can involved.
Do a lot of your guys that play football, do they play multiple sports, or they?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them at least do track. There's a little overlap with basketball also. One of our guys is bowling. He's a real good athlete. Actually, he's bowling.
Yeah.
He's our best bowler, too.
Yeah. A little bit with baseball, actually, too.
Yeah, that's so. What do you? I guess one thing that I kind of wonder is, you know, as the AD, the head football coach, like what are you? What's kind of your philosophy and program, or the pillars that you kind of hang your hats on? Maybe specifically football, but also as an athletic department. What's that kind of process that you're buying into? And
Yeah, as far as us right now, you know, what's driving us is just the goal of getting as many kids out as we can and keeping them with us, making the right decisions, you know, football-wise and outside of us. That's honestly our number one thing right now. I feel like we can do a lot of that. We're going to get wins, you know. We had some great senior leadership this year that had been in the program 3 or 4 years, and that translated to wins, but also translated to those other goals that we're trying to reach.
And then, you know, like, how do you, what's kind of that translate into, like, the classroom, into the off season, that piece?
Yeah, just total buy-in. Like I said, right decision, making the right decisions with us and outside on your own. But I mean, we're study tables, grade checks, really trying to change or improve the culture of our building, like as a whole. Again, I think we took some steps this year, and a lot of it was because those guys have been in the process 3 or 4 years. We graduate a lot, so it's going to be, we're going to have to kind of re-emphasize that again with these younger guys coming up. We have a good sophomore group that's bought in real well, but that's kind of going to be our class as juniors, stepping up to lead the seniors even. And I really do. I said it when I, came back. I think this senior group did a heck of a job, like changing the culture of the building. This sophomore group, this rising junior group, I think is where we take another big step.
And how is the building? How are your guys received? I mean,
Sure. Yeah. We are really lucky here. Our administration is very supportive of the efforts of our coaches. And I'll tell you from an athletic department standpoint, I think what Coach said is echoed through every program that we have. We're trying to teach things like accountability, responsibility, character. I mean, that's the only way you can guarantee winning in a program, because it's not really built on wins and losses. If you're teaching those things and you lose, you're still a winning program, because your kids are better off when they leave than they are when they came to you. If all you're talking about is winning and you lose, then you're a bunch of losers. And that's not what we're about. We're really lucky with the administration that we have. A lot of our athletic programs are still in their infancy, whether we just started them or brought them back, or even football, which we've had since we, reaffiliated with the OHSAA as a separate school, is only in year 5. So in my mind, that's still a young program. So it's important to get guys like Coach, and, a lot of our other coaches feel the exact same way. They have that same mindset. We share a lot of kids. That's actually in an interview, the first question I ask: how do you feel about multi-sport athletes? And if your answer is no, which a lot of coaches locally, I know a lot of the youth coaches, my kids are involved in youth sports, they want them all year round. Well, that's great. There's a place for you. It's probably not here at Chaney, if that's how you feel. School-wise, we want kids involved in as many things as they can be involved in, because, less opportunity to be on the streets of Youngstown. Honestly, we want them at school. We want them with us doing things positive. And I think that's why we're trying to grow some of these programs and add programming to our athletic department to give them more opportunities to be involved all year round. But most of our coaches would echo, the exact same thing that he just said. It's not really about the wins, the chicken or the egg conversation. All that other stuff gets taught first. And I'm sure, you guys coached, it's the same stuff. That doesn't change. And that's just whether it's bowling. I don't know how much of that goes into bowling, to be honest with you, but you know what I mean? Like, it's the same idea throughout. And we want our kids to be leaders in the school. We want our kids to change the culture of the school. We want the rest of the students to look at our athletes and say, that's the way you should behave. That's how Chaney Cowboys behave.
and I'm sure that it sure helps that you did win.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You get a lot more buy-in. You get a lot more buy-in. You know what I mean? When you win, and
Right.
that's a credit to these coaches, because when I tell you they work their butts off, they work their butts off.
Yeah, and I think, to your point, I mean, whatever you do, whatever your craft is, bowling, football, art, whatever it is, if there's a level of commitment and dedication to that craft in order to be successful that translates into your teaching profession, coaching, administrative. Sure. If you're not doing those things, nothing's ever going to break your way. And then your staff-wise, has your staff been together a while? And we were talking before we got on with Bob Toth, yep. My position coach when I was in high school, great offensive line coach, great guy, and I actually saw him before the Canfield game, so it was kind of cool to see him over there and talk. What's your staff situation? Do you have guys in the building, or are you guys together? Or?
We have our D coordinator, John Thompson, is in the building. John Kopp is in the building. Mike Rudloff, this is his first year. He was coaching at Valley Christian before, but he was put in our building, so he started helping here. Eddie Driscoll was at Valley, was at Mooney for a short period of time. He's in our building. And then we have like a full-time sub, which is Darian Townsend. So he's here quite a bit. He's our receivers coach. And like you said, we got Bob Toth. Bob Toth came over with me from Boardman. Brandon Dotson, that played at Ursuline, was here when we first started up. He's still here with us. Anthony Pantone played at Waynesburg with JT. And Dom Thomas, that was a running back here in, I think, mid-2000s, late 2000s, 2010 maybe.
That's phenomenal. I mean, I don't think there's many people that get that many people in the building.
No, we're lucky.
Yeah.
And that like we talk about hands-on all day. It's hands-on all day. Because you have to be.
Yeah.
We're lucky that
We
way.
went 20 years and never had one.
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple guys in the district, but
Yeah,
to
but
be
never-
in the building with you, yeah, I mean, and that makes a huge difference from, especially with the grade piece, right? The grade piece and the conduct piece. I mean, that can be overwhelming if you got 30, 40 guys on the team and you're trying to track grades and you're trying
Sure.
to make sure they're eligible. And I mean, that's a huge.
Progress book helps.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help that much. You still got to look at it, you know.
Right.
And we try to monitor it weekly, you know, just to, you know, if you got a leak, catch it early before we get to official eligibility check. And our kids understand, you know, they know the cycle. They know
Yeah.
when the grading, you know, we do halfway grades that we check, and then we do all the, you know, grading period grades, which are for eligibility.
And do you help with that too? Yeah.
I do it.
Some don't.
I do it.
No. That's
Yeah,
good.
I have to sign off on it.
Double
So
check.
yeah, I double check. These guys already know. If we have a kid that's struggling grade wise, they'll tell me.
Yeah.
And then we go look at them. You know, we have a lot of resources here that probably weren't here, Coach, back when you were here. We have, you know, we have like in-house social workers. You know, we have a lot of stuff that just try to hit all aspects of every kid.
Right.
Are the teachers pretty good as far as coming to you and saying, hey, either I'm having a problem discipline with the kid or academically with the kid?
Yeah, we have some really good kids. So once they get to know the teachers, they have, you know, everybody 14, 15, 16-year-old boys have a hard time opening up a little bit and trusting some of the teachers. Once they get over that, that helps, number one. But all the teachers and staff has been great with catching us in the hallway or sending us an email and letting us get to the bottom of things and helping more than discipline. You know
Sure.
what I mean? Kind of avoid a situation before it gets there.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, proactive. Try to be proactive, not reactive, you know.
And I think that's one of the changes in education that you probably see. I mean, so we've been in education a similar amount of time, 20 some years. You know, it used to be, hey, kid comes to school, you teach them, you know, reading, writing, and send them on their way, and just collectively, not just in Youngstown State, but everywhere, that dynamic's changed. We're filling a lot of gaps.
A lot.
You know, as educators, and you know, and as coaches and athletic directors, like you said before we got on, 7 to 7, man. I got them 12 hours a day.
Yep.
You know, and you know, surrogate parents and filling voids, but it's rewarding. You know, it's good times. One thing I just wanted to ask, and then Ron, we can jump to you for a minute there. You know, the new stadium. Casey, I got to talk to you at that Canfield game when you guys were there. How has that process been? Right, getting it renovated, kind of having a space, but sharing it too.
Yeah.
You know.
It's unique because, you know, like I said, I started teaching at Rand, and that was Rand High School Stadium, and there's a lot of history there.
Yes.
I mean, you guys all know the history. The first penalty flag ever thrown was thrown there. So there's a lot of history in the stadium. It's unique because the locker room situation there, you have 2 locker rooms that are 20 feet apart.
Okay.
And our boys are used to it now. But when you're the visiting team and you come out of your locker room to take the field, you know, visitors take it first, and you go down the tunnel, which we kept the tunnel for historic purposes. You come down the tunnel, and you have the home team standing there staring at you as you walk down the tunnel. Our boys are used to it. I think that creates a home field advantage. Now, logistically, can it be problematic? Absolutely it can be. Because, you know, you have, at halftime, you have 2 locker rooms 20 feet apart. And you have kids, you know, that are very physical out on the field, and then you have to come and stand right next to each other. So logistically, it's challenging. But the renovation part, Ed Matey did a lot of that with the press box, and I think the press box we have is unbelievable. That the whole building setup there is great. We were missing the turf part of it. Getting the turf in does change things.
Right.
Looks beautiful. Paid homage to all the old city schools.
Yeah.
We got a lot of pushback because Chaney was first. I mean, it's alphabetical.
Alphabetical order, right? Yeah, right.
I'm not mad either way, but I think it was a little bit overdue. We needed turf. We were one of the last school districts in the area to get it. And then this spring, we're getting turf installed right out here at Chaney. Yes. Wow. So we'll use that for the lower level games, the freshmen and JV games. We have a scoreboard installed on the side of the building right over here that we got a couple months ago for those games. We're going to play rugby right out of here too. And then for practices, because that field is the same field you guys practiced on, and you might as well be practicing on concrete right now. I mean, that stuff is bad. It's been packed down over years and years. So we're pretty excited about that, And those are big projects. We're going to get the track resurfaced, and that's just maintenance type of thing. But, yeah, it's exciting.
We actually tried to reseed it a couple of years, and it
Lasts about 3 weeks, and then the grass.
Right.
You stay off it for a month, and then it lasts. Yeah, we did the same. And
Right.
you just can't keep grass to grow in them 30 to 30 in between the hashes out there.
No, that's a fact. I used to go out there and move sprinklers just to keep it watered, but it would have invariably turned into the dust that it is.
Yep.
We were talking before we got on. This whole thing has kind of been the history, the tradition, kind of capturing some of those things that get lost with time. As people age, stories are lost and they're not told, and so kind of capturing that and invariably goes back to the tradition, the people, the relationships. And I guess one thing that Ron and I were talking about was how do you think that tradition has kind of embraced the return of Chaney? I think it was 8, 9, 10 years. Sport's done, and that creates a huge gap. So I think that's kind of the piece that is intriguing to me, and Ron, you can speak to it or not. But making that connection now with what has gone on in the past, inevitably things change, things go a different way. That's the way of the world. How can we mesh that? The what's going on currently, the good things that are taking place with some of that tradition, and I think that's kind of the goal here. So how do you think that the history has embraced the new part of?
Let me go. I think there's been a good number of support. You have Anthony Floyd obviously was coaching with us when we first came back. Dan Cipriano, he was kind of here for both parts of it. And he would always talk to our kids about, the past, Brad Smith obviously comes up. He comes up for a month every summer, and he's with us at practice every day, working with the quarterbacks, and he keeps in contact all the time. Obviously, we're looking to expand that to just, as many people that are willing to support. And that could be just coming to the stands and watching our game, reaching out. Our kids are good kids. They work hard for us. They're working kind of bigger than just Chaney. They're kind of working for the city and put us, on the map in Youngstown as a whole, but especially over here on the west side. And they deserve that recognition and support.
Yeah, I would say our schedules for everything are online, ycsd.org. They're up to date. So I think we've started the process and things like this, Coach being involved, and we talk. I think that's important, to build that bridge from what we were to what we are. Mm-hmm. I always want our people to understand what came before them. I tell everybody I'm kind of like the caretaker of Chaney Athletics. A lot of the decisions are bigger than me because they do involve the past and a lot of things that happened before. But our schedules are online. I think there may be a misconception to what we are. I would just ask, come out, pick a game, pick a sport, come out and watch. I think any Chaney alumni would be very pleasantly surprised at what they see, the product we put on the field or on the court or whatever it is. Our kids are good kids. They work hard. Our coaches work their tails off. And I think the product that you'll see, you'd be excited about. And everybody loves a winner. So, winning's important. I think winning brings back a lot more support, because after this year, we've had a lot of people reach out and they want to help, even if it's just something from feeding the team or, just very simple things. The challenge is we got to get the Hall of Fame back. We got to get it displayed, because I think that's a big piece to an athletic department. We've got to create some sort of a touchdown or a gridiron club. We had one kind of going, but then the people that were involved decided that they wanted to back out and not be involved anymore. And those would produce things like a golf outing or something like that for Chaney Athletics or for football, because that little bit of money you can make from a golf outing goes a long way in feeding the kids during double practices or pregame meals, T-shirts, things like that.
Like we got $5,000 from the Browns donated this year, and that kind of ran our season for the most part. Outside of the Cool Boys did a great job. They've donated every week or two. They would reach out, give us a couple $100 worth of stuff, snacks and stuff. They fed us after one of the away games. So there's been different groups and organizations to come, support, but definitely looking for that, the link to the Chaney past.
Yeah.
It would be nice if we didn't have to do that, because right now, feeding the team, we do it. Stocking the concession stand, we do it. We don't have an outside organization that gets involved. And typically in most, my kids go to Boardman. At Boardman, it's parents that do that kind of thing. So I think the more people that are involved, the better off we can be. Our kids deserve it for sure. They deserve the support, and that's why all the adults in the equation work their tail off to try to provide that and fill in some of those gaps that you were talking about. Like I said, if you haven't been to a game since we've been back, just come check it out. I think you'd be hopefully pleasantly surprised.
Well, there's no question there's a buzz out there. There's a buzz out there from alumni that I think are sitting on the wall right now and want to be involved and want to back. And the couple games that I observed, one on TV in the Canfield game, you're putting a great product out there. You guys are doing a phenomenal job, and you're 100% on the money. Those kids deserve the best of the best. I mean, and they're giving their effort. They're out there, and they're, as you said, putting Chaney on the map again, and it's great to see. And I'm involved in a bunch of alumni, like a 15-way text, and just to hear some of the thoughts and the buzz that's going on out there is really gratifying to see. So I think some people need to step up and get a gridiron club, get some more support. And it'll just continue to pay great dividends.
I hope so. It'd be nice. I tell you what would be very nice is to, right now it's kind of a week-to-week thing, where we have someone that, steps up this week and we've had some of our players' parents, they did, Juwan Freeman's mom and family came a couple of times, and they cook for the kids and they feed the meal. It would be very nice to be able to plan the whole season out and not have to worry about week to week. And some of our staffs, our administration, they'll step up for a week. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if we could, like you were saying, Coach, if we could have a gridiron club that would handle that kind of stuff, let these guys, do what we're hiring them to do, which is coach football, and not have to worry about the fundraising and the team feeds and things of that nature. I think that would be a huge support.
Yeah, and I think, we were talking about it just from a coaching standpoint, having people that you can count on, like Bob Toth, hey, I want to do this with the offensive line, and then stepping away and knowing he can do it, that allows you as a head coach to do more. And point being, if you don't have to worry about team feeds, fundraisers, T-shirts, and just coach football, that all helps and translates. And I think for me, I've had a conversation with a couple guys that we're talking about the Hall of Fame, talking about some of the recognition piece, and at the end of the day, the two things I think. Number one, Ron said it a while ago. It's tough for the kids to embrace the tradition if the tradition doesn't embrace them. And that's a key. And so, number two, some of these guys who want recognition or who want to have their teammates recognized, they have to kind of step up. Invigorate some of this to have some new blood, fresh eyes on it, to partner with it, which creates a little bit of momentum, creates a little bit of excitement, connection with the kids. Like, I think, those things need to happen. It can't be just one guy, one administrator, one coach. It's a collective group.
Well, I'd tell you this, Dallas. We are as inclusive as you can be.
Yeah.
We are not exclusive at all.
Oh,
we don't.
right.
We don't say no to very many people about anything. You know what I mean? We try to involve everybody in because of that stuff that you're talking about. And a lot of our kids, the Chaney of old was the west side, primarily the west side. Well, now the district lines have been redrawn with all the school closings. So we have south side kids, we have west side kids. We used to have some north side kids that have been grandfathered in, but the district lines have changed a little bit over the last 2 years even, and those north side kids are now east kids. So we're involving more communities now than just the west side, and that's part of the challenge, I guess. You have like a lot of people will say, what about the Wilson Hall of Fame? Well, you know what I mean? I guess, some of the people that live over there on the south side, their parents would go to Wilson, and they find it hard to support. You got those old rivalries that die hard. They find it hard to support Chaney because, maybe they were Wilson kids. I know when we shut down athletics here and our kids had to go to East, some of the parents wouldn't let their kids play sports because they didn't want them playing for East.
Yeah.
They wanted, and I understand that. You know what I mean? Those rivalries die hard. So, we're as inclusive as you can be. We want as many people involved in what we're doing as possible. Even if it's just show up to a game and let the kids see you're there to support. That's a good start. We don't want to ask anything from anybody. Just come and support. Clap when you should, cheer when you should. Scream at our coaches for calling the wrong stuff. That's okay. I do it all the time. I want a fullback and a tight end.
You don't have to ask people to do that, though.
Right. That just.
That's why they call you coach.
Ron, anything? I mean, in terms of,
Just, from the standpoint of the season, toughest opponent, who do you guys think were? The Canfield game, state champs and people look at that game and have different thoughts about it, and I'm sure Canfield does. But the bottom line is Chaney beat Canfield, and they made a play when they had to make a play.
Yeah, Canfield game obviously, it was great for us. It was kind of an old school game a little bit. We won that with defense. We had that pick six at the end. But even before that, and then to seal it, they got the ball down to, I think, 35, 40. We were able to get them to, hold them on downs there. But all game, our, defensive side of the ball and defensive staff did a great job. Ursuline was obviously a real good game. We didn't stop the running back very well. Lynch is a great running back and would have liked to have done a better job of holding him. I guess as far as in the area I'd go, those two are neck and neck. That when Canfield and Ursuline played each other, I expected a closer game than that score was for sure. And then Kenston, obviously we didn't execute as well as we should have. We kind of weren't firing on full, all cylinders due to some things, but would have liked to have gone into that one in a different situation. But in the area, Canfield, Ursuline, like two great teams. Mooney is much improved from last year, and even if you watch them when we played in week 3 to the end of the season, they just kept getting better. So it's hard for me to pick one.
I thought you guys did a great job with adjustments at the Alliance game.
Yeah, our defensive staff, again, did a great job when our guys came out. Just believed it. You know, we talked at halftime, and we had a couple halftimes this year. Painesville was another one. We weren't playing very well against Painesville. Second half came out and finally settled into place. But Alliance definitely, staff made a great adjustments, and kids executed and played hard, and were able to, you know, defensively shut them out. The second half was huge.
Well, it was a great year. I mean, there, you know, 10-win season is a great season. You know, advancing in the playoffs. I was really impressed, for whatever it's worth, with the kids' effort and their poise and how they represented themselves and carried themselves on the field. It was really encouraging to see.
Thank you. That means a lot. That's, you know, what we're trying to stress for sure. So that means a lot. Thank you.
I really appreciate you guys doing this. I think, you know, like I said, I hope that the goal is to maybe connect some people that want to be plugged in. And, you know, obviously you guys are super engaging and, you know, allowed us to come in and do this. And you know, we just want to see people kind of support and get plugged in. So
We're here.
Yeah, we're here. I think if you spend some time around our kids, it'd be really hard to not buy into what they're doing, the effort they give. You spend some time with them, you're going to want to give back to them.
Yeah, we definitely have some personalities on the team.
I don't think that ever changes.